The summer transfer window is always a good chance for clubs to cover open spots in the squad and get ready for the upcoming season. Successful work on the market always gives results. Barcelona 14-15, Real Madrid 13-14 and many other campaigns are good proof of that. This summer many teams have already built some players to show their ambitions to all Europe. Goal24 presents you a list of top 10 transfers of this pre-season. But before we start, answer a question. Which of these clubs spent the most money last summer? Chelsea, PSG, Man United, Atletico Madrid? Write your answer in the comments and we get started. Ivan Perisic, Inter, Tottenham, free agent. During the season, the Croatian player was in talks with Nerazzurri to extend his contract. By the end of the season, many sources claimed the sides were close to an agreement. The Inter fans were happy with the news as Perisic was quite effective, with 8 goals and 7 assists in Serie A. But his best performance was of course the Coppa d'Italia final, where Perisic scored 2 goals against Juventus. After that very match, Tottenham got in touch with the player, offering him better terms than Inter. Eventually, the Croatian decided not to extend his contract with Inter and joined the Spurs for 2 years. His former coach Antonio Conte was expecting him in London. Ivan can be really helpful for Tottenham as the player can cover the left wing and even play as a deep-lying forward. At the beginning of the season, Conte lacked a good left winger who could keep up with attacks. Emerson Royal was a good option, but the Brazilian would hardly be a first-choice player with Perisic in the squad. The only problem is his age. The player is 33, and the lack of experience in the Premier League, of course. But if Conte has decided to invite the player, he is confident that Ivan is able to perform in England. Friends, we need your support. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel and turn on the notifications. This won't take much time, but surely it will help us to grow. Thank you. Antonio Rüdiger, Chelsea, Real Madrid, free agent. The 29-year-old German knows well that his next professional contract is his last chance to earn big money. That's why he asked around 300,000 euros per week for staying at Chelsea alongside a bonus of 13 million. The Blues were very reluctant to accept his demands, but in winter they realized they had no other choice and renewed the talks. But soon, sanctions were imposed on the club and they were not allowed to extend players' contracts. Rüdiger was waiting for the situation to get better, but it didn't, and he decided to accept Real Madrid's offer. Los Blancos gave Antonio a very good deal of 10 million euros per year and solved their problem in the center of defense. After his move from Roma to Chelsea in summer 2017, Rüdiger grew into one of the best defenders in the Premier League. However, he had his ups and downs during these years at Stamford Bridge. His worst period was under the management of Frank Lampard. At that time, the player was very close to leaving the club for Tottenham. Fortunately, it all changed under Thomas Tuchel. The coach found the perfect role for Antonio and turned him into one of the team leaders who helped the team win the Champions League title in 21-22. Rüdiger will surely add aggression and power to the Real Madrid defense, something that Alaba and Militao sometimes lack. However, one of the best Premier League defenders, who by the way arrived completely for free, seems quite a promising signing. Ryan Gravenberch, Ajax, Bayern, 18,500,000 euros. The talented midfielder was shortlisted by many European top clubs for quite a time, but he's become ready for transfer only this transfer window. The 20-year-old midfielder had agreed with Ajax that he could leave the club by summer 2022. Bayern was the club that wanted to sign the Dutchman the most. The German side was in talks with the player for quite a long time, and eventually they managed to sign him for a very modest sum. This was possible thanks to the expiring contract, as Ajax was risking losing Ryan next season completely for free. Gravenberch has signed a contract that lasts until 2027, thus becoming Julian Nagelsmann's second signing this preseason. Before that, Bayern had signed Ryan's teammate, Noussair Mazraoui, who joined the German club as a free agent. After moving to Munich, Gravenberch confessed he had an option to move to Man United, where his former coach Erik ten Hag was waiting for him. Manchester United is a very big and beautiful club, but I already had such a good feeling at Bayern Munich and I had given my word. We'll know if this was a right choice only after the season kicks off. The Dutchman will have to work his socks off to get into the first team and prove his best qualities to Julian Nagelsmann. Yves Bissouma, Brighton, Tottenham, €29,200,000. After his move to the Premier League, the Malian has progressed a lot, developing into one of the most promising midfielders in England. All the 6 top clubs were interested in the player last season. Arsenal was the main contender for the midfielder for quite a long time. The player even posted a screenshot on social media where a Gunners fan asks the board to buy Bissouma for any price. But a couple of days later it turned out that Arsenal's fierce rivals won the race for the player. Tottenham met the Brighton representatives and made the deal at once. This was the Spurs' 3rd signing this summer after Ivan Perisic and Fraser Forster. In his first interview, Bissouma said he was eager to play in the Champions League and work with the head coach Antonio Conte. The Italian is obviously happy to get a 25-year-old Malian in his team. Last season, Tottenham lacked depth in the midfield. Before the arrival of Bentancur, this position was rotated very often, and only Pierre-Emile Højbjerg had his constant place in the lineup. Bissouma is not a perfect goal scorer or passer. In 14 years in the Premier League, he scored only 3 goals and made 2 assists. But his main talent is in something else. In the 21-22 season, he became the 2nd best tackler in the league. Besides, he was great with the ball and is able to pull it into dangerous zones. The footage of his game proves this. Karim Adeyemi, RB Salzburg, Borussia Dortmund, €30 million. The young German became one of the main discoveries of the last Champions League. The forward scored 4 goals in the group stage and made 1 assist, helping Salzburg qualify for the knockout stage for the first time in their history. In all competitions, the 20-year-old forward scored 23 goals and made 8 assists. Borussia Dortmund was impressed with Karim's play. They tried to sign him back in winter, but the Austrian club were reluctant to let their key player go with important matches in the Champions League coming up. Their rivals in the round of 16, Bayern Munich, were also interested in Adeyemi, but the player chose Dortmund as he thought he would get more chances to progress and play regularly at this club. Eventually, the BVB managed to agree Adeyemi's transfer fee at the end of spring. The German is supposed to replace ERLING HAALAND at Dortmund, who had also moved from Salzburg several years ago. Though Karim is not that promising yet, he has all the chances to grow into a real superstar. At least he has all the necessary skills for that. Diego Carlos, Sevilla, Aston Villa, €31 million. After moving from Nantes to Spain, the Brazilian developed a lot under Julen Lopetegui. Many top clubs got interested in the defender thanks to his confident game. Among them were Chelsea, Arsenal and Real Madrid. But as Sevilla had no intentions of letting their player go so early, they decided not to sell him in winter. Newcastle targeted Carlos in January. The Magpies were desperately trying to buy the Brazilian, but they were unable to finalize the deal. But a couple of months later, Diego appeared at another English club, Aston Villa. Steven Gerrard wanted to see him in his team very much. The 29-year-old defender signed a 4-year deal with the Birmingham-based club, becoming their first signing during this transfer window. Most probably, Tyrone Mings is going to be Carlos's partner in the defense. He has 17 caps for the England national team. Overall, Diego's transfer should help Aston Villa improve their defensive game, which was far from perfect last season. They conceded 54 goals in 38 Premier League matches. However, it's going to be very interesting to watch Gerrard in his first full season in charge of the club after he received the full backing of the board in terms of transfers. Sadio Mané, Liverpool, Bayern, €32 million. Since his move from Southampton in summer 2016, the Senegalese had been crucial in Jurgen Klopp's team. The forward was becoming only better year after year, turning from a decent player into a real superstar. In 6 years at Liverpool, Mané won at least 1 from all the possible titles, except the Community Shield. Before the Champions League final against Real Madrid, the press were actively spreading rumors that Mané had been unable to extend his contract with the Reds and was preparing to leave. Bayern supported the player's intentions and immediately started talks with their English colleagues. The clubs were unable to come to an agreement for a long time, as Liverpool demanded quite a lot for a 30-year-old player with an expiring contract. But the deal was eventually made. Liverpool signed DARWIN NUNEZ from Benfica and allowed Mané to leave for Bayern. Arriving at Munich, Sadio declared he had been very happy when he learned about Julian Nagelsmann's interest in him. There shouldn't be any adaptation problems for the Senegalese. The player learned the German language when he played at Salzburg. Concerning the style, Bayern plays quite an attacking football that fits Sadio well, with aggressive pressing and runs behind the defensive line. All in all, Bayern signed a great and experienced forward for quite a low sum. And Liverpool is going to have some hard times, as Mané was constantly scoring 10 to 20 goals for 8 years in a row in the Premier League. Only Tottenham's Harry Kane has shown such results. Erling Haaland, Borussia Dortmund, Manchester City, 60 million euros. The monstrous Norwegian literally broke into the European elite football in the 1920 season, when he scored 8 goals in the Champions League group stage playing for RB Salzburg. Borussia grabbed the talented forward and his development process increased. Last summer, Chelsea were trying to sign him, but the BVB rejected their offer and bought instead Romelu Lukaku, who turned out to be a failure at Stamford Bridge. In total, Haaland spent 2.5 seasons at Dortmund, scoring 83 goals and making 87 assists. This year, his release fee of 60 million euros was activated. There was an intense competition for Haaland's signature. Almost all the top clubs were interested in the player, but Real Madrid and Barcelona tried to lure in the forward any way they could. But the player eventually chose Man City. Haaland got attracted with the chance to play at a strong club under Pep Guardiola, a chance he could not miss. Besides, Erling's father, Alf-Inge, used to play for the Citizens and got noticed in the conflict with the United captain, Roy Keane. After he signed the contract, Erling said he was supporting Man City since childhood. He even has a couple of photos as a kid where he wears the City shirt. One of them was used during the player's presentation when he was sitting on a sofa in the same position as in the photo. However, the City bosses are confident in the forward's potential. The Norwegian may need some time for adaptation, but after that, they'll be demanding at least 20 goals per season from Haaland in the Premier League. Darwin Núñez, Benfica, Liverpool, 75 million euros. The Uruguayan was one of the most wanted players on the transfer market. Man United was the main contender for him, but while they were trying to negotiate the price, Liverpool came in and made an offer to Benfica, as they desperately needed a replacement for Sadio Mané. The latter was on his way to Bayern. The Reds head coach Jurgen Klopp thought Núñez was the perfect fit for his team, so the bosses agreed to pay 75 million euros for him. Moreover, this price tag could grow up to 100 million considering all the bonuses. Today, Darwin is the second most expensive player in Liverpool's history, but a year later he may take the first place away from Virgil van Dijk. The Reds know Núñez well. Last season, the forward scored 2 goals against Liverpool in the Champions League quarter-final. At first, he did it at Estadio da Luz and then at Anfield. In total, Darwin scored 6 goals in that campaign, among them the winner against Ajax in the first knockout stage. In all competitions, Núñez scored 34 goals, becoming the top scorer in Portugal. Some time ago, Darwin's compatriot Luis Suarez suggested Barcelona pay attention to the youngster, but the Blaugrana bosses were quite skeptical about a player from Almeria. Today, the forward moved to one of the strongest clubs in the world, becoming one of the top 2 most expensive players at Liverpool. Aurélien Tchouaméni, Monaco, Real Madrid, 80 million euros. Many top clubs have been scouting the 22-year-old wonderkid for quite a time. Among them were clubs like Chelsea, Liverpool and PSG. Besides, Didier Deschamps called the player up to the France national team. His price was so good that Monaco could not help but demand a huge sum for him. Because of the club's high demands, only 2 contenders left, PSG and Real Madrid. The Parisians were doing their best to convince Aurélien to move to Parc des Princes, but the midfielder had already decided in favor of Real Madrid and had told his teammates about his desire to move to Spain. When PSG extended Kylian Mbappe's contract, Los Blancos president Florentino Perez had to take revenge from the Parisians. Real Madrid paid the demanded sum to Monaco and Tchouaméni moved to Santiago Bernabeu. The Royal Club paid 80 million euros for the Frenchman, but because of bonuses, this sum may grow to 100 million. This means that Aurélien may become one of the 3 most expensive players at Real Madrid, after Eden Hazard and Gareth Bale. As a defensive player, Tchouaméni cost quite a fortune for Los Blancos, but if he unleashes his potential, he may become a lasting solution for the club in the midfield. Now the club is free to say goodbye to Modric, Casemiro and Kroos, implementing Camavinga, Valverde and Tchouaméni. However big some transfers may seem, their effectiveness will be visible only after some time. There are many cases in football when the player was unable to adapt to a new club and meet the expectations. Dear friends, which transfer of this summer you find the most successful? Let us know in the comments, we'd be happy to read them. See you soon!